starting.
I'm not aware it's become a little looser in his. All right, everyone, shut up. I'm turning it on.
Okay, the time is 10:35 on Friday, September 15th. And we need to call the meeting to order of the Jobs Committee. Roll call, please.
Bates,
She held us up and she's going. She had to go somewhere.
Yeah, what is that?
Doherty,
Doherty is remote.
Ford,
Board president.
Strathman,
I'm here.
Young,
Young here.
Lewis,
Those here.
Allen.
Present.
You have a quorum in the room.
Okay. We have a request from Mr.
Here. There you are. Hello.
You're late.
We're voting to close the meeting.
Right, we're done. No. We have a request from Mr. Doherty and also Mr. Young for remote attendance. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, wonderful. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from August 11th.
8 seconds.
Okay, is this unanimous consent?
Yes.
It's what I heard. I just wanted to make sure that the recording secretary heard it. Okay, all in favor? Okay. I see no public comments. So let's go right on to the Office of Community Reinvestment and Workforce Development.
Good morning, Co-Chair Lewis. This is Scott Berger.
Morning,
on the
Scott.
line. Good morning. This morning we have for you our usual battery of reports regarding our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act program, as well as the Trade Adjustment Assistance Act program. My colleague Maria Gonzalez is on the line to walk you through those reports. Maria?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Maria.
Morning.
As Scott mentioned, in your packet, you do have a set of financial reports from our office. We are in the second year of the 2-year cycle for the WIOA 22 grant. That being said, we have until June 30th of 2024 to fully spend down the remaining funds that we have available. On page 4 of your packet, you see how things are aligning. We continue to report obligations to the state to let them know that we are on track to spend down the funds. Ideally, it will be before June 30th, significantly before, because before too long, we will be getting our WIOA 23 grant allocation that we have to start working with. Our direct training benchmark has continued to exceed the 50%, with it currently being at 62%. So far this program year, we have spent $12,480 in on-the-job training program funds, and then we still have yet to spend a little over 67,000 that are in queue. The participants haven't finished training yet, therefore we haven't made the payments. We have out there 3 incumbent worker projects that total up to a little over $48,000. Page 5 of your packet is the detail information for the trade grant. We are nearing the end of this grant period, with it ending on September 30th. We still have a couple more months to report, so we're working on spending down those funds. Any questions?
Explain the trade grant, please.
Microphone.
Bates, please, could you explain the trade grant?
Maria, did you hear the question?
I did. Is Scott still on the line?
Yes, he is.
Yes, I am here. The trade grant program is, I like to say, these are the funds that we really wish we didn't have, because these are federal funds that are provided to us to assist people that are adversely affected by trade decisions, the offshoring of jobs to foreign countries that are laid off as a result of those business decisions that take jobs overseas. So
We wish we didn't need these funds. In other
correct.
words. Okay.
Correct. These are funds that are provided by the federal government to basically ameliorate the effect of trade decisions that have to do with offshoring of jobs.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's move right along. Comments by the co-chairs, if it's okay with Miss Allen, we'll leave that to the end. And if you can, starting next month, just move us to the end, please. So right after new business, if we can put our comments at the end there before we,
It's item number 10. Yes, we can.
okay, thank you, sir. All right, then we will move on to the Chris Show.
Good morning and thank you. This is Chris Toth speaking for your Economic Development Show on this wonderful Friday morning. First, we're going to start off with a RISE grant update. We are moving along quite well. In the last week, we connected our World Business Chicago team and data research team that we've been working with as part of GSEP with our consultant at RW Ventures. So we will be leveraging the World Business Chicago data team's research abilities and capabilities, as well as the programs and data services that they have access to as part of our report. So that opens up a lot of doors for us to have a lot of great information. So that's something I just wanted to share. We've also begun the interview process with our key stakeholders in the region. I will be sending out invitations to our first 30 of our designees that we want to interview. These conversations are meant to assess the region's assets and trends across key industries, workforce, real estate, transportation, innovation, et cetera, and help give the research team at RW Ventures some insights on what they should be continuing to look at for the strategic plan. Finally, I also just submitted a formal extension request to DCEO. Our project is going well, but we would like more time to make sure it's robust and not be under the gun at the end of the year. So today I submitted an extension, which I believe will be approved to move the project into next year so that we are not going to be chasing things down at the end of the year and rushing the project. So I'm really excited about that. But that is my brief update for the RISE grant. So I can take any questions if we have them.
So Scott, I'm sorry, Chris, when will we start seeing some actual data that like we will see at this level on some of the things that we've been looking at?
Our timeline has shifted a little bit, but somewhere around October, November, maybe late November, we're going to have our first draft, and we would like to share that draft for review when we have it. But right now, I think they're keeping everything internal just to move through their processes.
Right.
But as soon as they give us something that we are allowed to share with the Jobs Committee, it'll be right on the agenda.
Okay, perfect. We've been waiting so long, it feels like.
Yeah.
And so just anxious.
Agreed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could you briefly explain the RISE grant?
Sure. The RISE grant was the $150,000 grant we received. And the acronym eludes me at the point, but it was basically a strategic planning effort through the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And we were one of the 7, I think, out of the 30 something odd that actually got the full 150,000 to create a resiliency plan. And we marketed it as Kane County not having a county economic development organization needed the assistance to put together a plan in order to leading to an economic development organization so that we could increase the sustainability of our economic prosperity in the county.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, no more questions if you want to move along.
All right, excellent. Moving along to our Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership updates. I got a lot for this one, but first I wanted to share something we just received this morning. A company called Ravago, which is a plastic resin and chemicals company, has confirmed their commitment to region selecting Kendall County for their Midwest distribution center meant to support the manufacturing boom happening across the county. This win will produce 150 new jobs and keep 59 jobs, which would have left the state. Well, why am I talking about Kendall County? Well, this is the former Caterpillar site right across the street in Montgomery. So this will be affecting a Kane County municipality. And I would like to give a shout out to Sonia Apt, the Community Services and Development Director of the Village of Montgomery. She was the lead on this. This is big because while it may not be in Kane County, it will affect the Kane County municipality. It will probably hire Kane County residents. These employees will eat at Kane County restaurants and shop in Kane County stores. It's a nice big win for GSEP. We will be sending out some more promotional information and work with King County Connects team to share this. So this is just great news. It's our first big win that we can announce. And if another win comes like that, I'll make sure to share with the jobs committee, but that's breaking today. And it leads to my next point.
Alright.
Please.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
or Statement on that. Actually, much of Montgomery is in King County.
Yeah, most of it
It's
is.
split, yeah, so
the-
it
the
is
slight-
gonna definitely affect us, yes. Being the board member down in that area, I get a lot of information on stuff going on.
Mm.
And what I liked about this project was they were actually pretty transparent with the village of Montgomery, the Montgomery people. So the people came out and they asked about things like, wait, if these plastics are coming in, what's it going to do to our environment? I mean, you would love the conversations because they did, what's going to happen to our environment? What are we going to do about the waste? Is it going to cause smell? Is it going to cause all these things? And the group that's going in, I thought was very transparent in the whole process and with the site and everything, it's actually not going to cause, huge problems for our environment. So I was actually really impressed by the whole thing of it. So I just actually really like the fact that we're looking at new development in more of a holistic approach. It's like, it's only going to be, it's going to be great jobs, yeah, but also we want to make sure that we are not causing further damage to our area.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's great is my next point is we're continuing to receive leads from GSEP to distribute throughout our economic development partners. And Project Ravago was one of the earlier leads that started when we first did the GSEP process of sharing leads. So it just shows that as we continue to grow our economic development organization and have more capabilities to network and find ways to get these leads out to potential King County municipalities, that if we take our shot and we work hard, something will come to our region. So we're a very attractive region. We just have to get it to the people that can, put butts in the seats. So we're also right now assisting in reviewing the final version of the regional asset map, which I know you had asked about earlier. This is a key report showing where our different sector and industrial clusters are around the greater Chicagoland region. That we've been working on this one. I've been just part of the advisory committee, but the team at World Business Chicago has been working on this diligently since the partnership was formed. And this report, again, is something we'll share with the jobs committee as soon as it's finalized. It's a robust report and it's very eye-opening from what I've seen. And to that point too, as in the packet, I did share the recent Chicagoland Quantum Ecosystem Report. It's extremely high level, but it's just another thing that, again, we have access to from the World Business Chicago, looking at the whole region holistically, just to see about potential for quantum computing. And for those who don't know, that's just really fast computing. And the industries that stand to benefit the most from that include pharmaceuticals, chemicals, automotive, and finance. And the speed at which our computers do things right now is quite fast, but quantum computing is exponentially faster. And to give an example of that, if you're looking at folding proteins or something in the medical research field, quantum computing allows you to test variables at a much higher rate so you can find solutions quicker. So it's just something if you're interested to read, and this is another product of the partnership that we wouldn't have had before. Also, I'd like to promote 2 upcoming GSEP events that we're highlighting. One is the ThinkPad Chicago, which is inviting students and alumni from all Chicagoland community colleges for a behind-the-scenes tour of the city's thriving tech and innovation sector ecosystem. The students will hear from Chicago tech leaders, engage with companies, and build skills toward technology certifications in this action-packed day of programs, activation, and resources. The other event that we're highlighting through GSEP is the Chicago Venture Summit Future of Climate Tech 2023 showcase, and it'll showcase the next generation of climate tech startups, global sector leaders, and investors. And again, it's a regional thing that we are able to send some of our partners for free from King County as part of this partnership, so they can go and be part of the discussion. Also, let's see. Yeah, we've just been really busy, and we've also been working hard with the World Business Chicago to tighten up our lead distribution processes so that we can get leads to our King County municipalities as quickly as possible, so that they're able to kick it back to the regional group, so that we can get those people who are looking at King County out here to break some ground. And with that, I'll hand it back to you.
Questions on the world business? The economic partnership? Okay, let's move on.
Awesome, Chris Toth again, just a brief ARPA project update. We've been working really hard with Suzanne and the ARPA, the state's assistant state's attorneys to get our manufacturing and tourism projects onto the September ARPA committee agenda for the County Board of October. We've been working really, really hard at this so we can get these projects moving. The two projects that are currently focusing on is our tourism promotional project, and then our manufacturing innovation and sustainability and recovery fund. I always get the name wrong, but basically we'll be helping IMEC fund projects to help manufacturers in Kane County improve their processes and improve their staffs. And they're a great group to work with. And then for the CBBs, we're just going to work with our CBBs to do more promotional ads, both in print and digital, to increase tourism in Kane County. So hopefully we'll see those on the agenda, the resolutions and the agreements. We can get that ball rolling because I know we've been working hard on it. So with that, any questions?
Nope, continue on.
All right, right on. And moving along to our last thing, the Fabulous Fox Water Trail Initiative. We're currently finalizing 2 awarded state grants from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. One is $270,000, another one is $100,000. So that brings us to a total of $370,000 worth of grants. Karen's on vacation now, but she's been really hard at working with our partners to market the trail, as well as celebrating our National Water Trail designation. With our local partners, they've all been doing kind of our victory lap. It's a great win. We're really excited. I know at E&E, they were talking about the removal of the dam report. Right now, in terms of our stance in economic development, we don't have a stance on that. We're waiting to see the process play out, but I can say that we're excited to see that there's some motion moving forward. The more potential to have different uses of the river by the removal of the dams is a really good economic opportunity. And I reflected that in our application. And right now we're also in the process of selecting an engineering consultant for the infrastructure improvement for the new and existing Kane County launch sites for along the river. But with that, I think those are the updates I have for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions, please go right ahead.
Okay, David Young has his hand up. Good morning,
Yeah.
Mr. Young.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. I'm going to bring this up again, and I know that I've said it before, but I'll say it again. In the description for the standing committee for the jobs, it says its objective will be to maintain and increase employment in Kane County and to promote the creation of more jobs that pay higher wages, especially in the private economy. So hopefully for next month, we can highlight some of the things I know he brought up. That's great to hear about that, that distribution center coming into Kendall County. Great. I'd like to understand where we are year to date as far as the number of jobs created in the private economy and what the average salary is for those jobs. And I know we have a lot of more work to do, but I think that's something that we need to keep our eye on that ball. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. You stole my thunder, but that's okay. Let me go right into my comments before we'll do this under new business. So Chris and I were just talking before the meeting about November. We want to do a jobs update outlook because it feels like our job position is finally maybe stabilizing to the next level. If you look at our board reports, we're actually hiring people that we haven't been able to hire for 2 years. Some people are starting to lose their benefits. People have to go back and start paying their student loans. Feels like we're kind of getting into a new normal, and I've been kind of watching the reports at the Illinois Department of well, I call them unemployment, but that's not what they call themselves anymore. And so we decided in November, we want to actually concentrate on the whole jobs outlook and what's going on in our county specifically. So thank you for bringing that up. And Yes, absolutely. And then since we're on this, I have another thing that I just wanted to make sure everybody saw up in Carpentersville, wherever that is. I'm just kidding. I know where it is. Up in Carpentersville on October 10th, they're doing it's called Created in Carpentersville. And it's the Village of Carpentersville is hosting an industrial business expo. And they're highlighting the companies, showcasing them and their products and services. And I just think that this is going to be a really interesting thing another way to see what's going on up in that part of the county. And so I would encourage anybody, it's evening, it's 3 to 6 p.m. I would encourage anybody that is from this committee or any other to stop by up there and kind of see what's going on.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
Thank you for everything you're doing to bring jobs to the county. And there's been interesting articles lately about that unemployment is low right now, except in or especially in Black communities. And so I think we need to keep working on the equity aspect of jobs here in Kane County and make sure that our minorities are especially being served to help them get better jobs and more jobs. And I have another thing. I have a question about the warehouses that are going into Kane County. It seems like there's very many warehouses going up. It's like somebody took a packet of Dominoes and just threw them on Kane County. We've got a big one in our neighborhood now in Aurora, a few blocks away from me, but it's sort of a little industrial area. Do we have any kind of a plan for how many warehouses can go into Kane County? I'm not talking about mandates or restrictions, but let's not encourage them possibly, especially the ones that are coming in. They put them up and they put a for sale sign on them. Are these speculative? I think Naperville, for example, is not allowing warehouses inside of Naperville. They say they are aesthetically and economically unpleasing. They don't create a lot of jobs. They slap them up in a week or two. So,
Sure, I can give a couple.
and the traffic and the semis
Sure, I
and the
can-
pollution.
So I can give a couple comments that Naperville did something unique in that they changed their zoning along the I-88 corridor to restrict those manufacturing. They wanted to make that corridor more of an innovation / tech hub. So people, when you're driving along the highway, you just don't see big buildings. You see people creating things or generating new economic development. That's something that's being researched currently by our team at RW Ventures as part of our economic development strategic plan. There has been in our tour, when our advisor, John Gwilling, and I went to tour different municipalities over the summer to talk to economic development professionals, it's come up a lot. I think we might start seeing a slowdown in terms of building new ones just because a lot of the available land has been scooped up already. And I think you were correct in your assessment, a lot of it has been spec warehouse. We don't really have any sort of stance on that currently. We're just trying to do some more research to see at what rate it's growing and how that it is impacting it. But I've also heard a lot of different municipalities have just kind of taken their own stands of not allowing it or being more restrictive. But in terms of the unincorporated side of Kane County, there's not been too much, at least to my knowledge, requests to build those kind of.
That's what's happening in Geneva, in unincorporated Kane County, where they cut down those hundreds of oak trees is for warehouses.
Oh.
So it's happening.
I'm not aware of that one in unincorporated.
So let's just not encourage it.
Right. And I
Please.
don't think, but Mr. Shepro.
Yes, I had a couple of perhaps relevant comments. One is that the county land use plan states that there's a preference that economic development, commercial should be in municipalities and not in the unincorporated areas. That's a policy statement. But the real problem is that virtually all of those developments occur within municipalities for the reason that they need the utilities of the municipality. And Unfortunately, as is the case with the Geneva, it's an annexation. And a county has essentially no legal ability to stop property from being annexed by a municipality. And of course, once it's annexed, they make a deal with the municipality for whatever they want. And the county's ability to object in any way or apply their ordinances, except with respect to stormwater management, is almost non-existent. So, I mean, that's the biggest obstacle. As it was mentioned, some municipalities are adopting more restrictive zoning, but that would be their decision as part of the annexation process. So that's unfortunately a legal obstacle that is difficult. Even much of our land use plan has been dependent on having a buy-in from the municipalities that they agree with our goals. And it's actually goes back to 93 with the first plan that was adopted. But one other comment is that, as you may know, the state's attorney's office has been reviewing the committee jurisdiction section of the county code for some time, because much of it is either obsolete, duplicative, confusing. It occurred to me that after the debate on the zoning matter at county board, there were comments made about perhaps the county should have a proactive process of assisting
Businesses.
in relocating people with job or commercial developments to the right place. And it occurs to me that this committee might be a logical committee for that to occur. And as part of your examination of your role, that might be something that you would want to weigh in on, while these other jurisdictional questions are hopefully going to be addressed.
I think those are good suggestions. I know to Mavis's point, on our end of the county, Orchard Road particularly, they're talking about putting in a huge complex with a gravel pit, and the neighbors, they really in uproar. But so I get a lot of phone calls on that, and just like exactly what you said, all I can say is that we've already looked at it from the water, wastewater usage and those kind of county things, but whether Montgomery annexes that land or what they do, we have no jurisdiction. So why I feel for them, I don't, there's nothing we can do other than, keep fighting and bringing up the, what we can.
Which, may I? So stormwater seems to be one of those examples where the counties and the municipalities work together very closely. Why can't there be other areas like that, like climate change or warehouses, or maybe in the future? I know I'm talking probably, state legislature, new laws, but maybe, stormwater doesn't obey any boundaries, neither does climate change, neither does air pollution. The air pollution caused by these semis coming in and out of these warehouses, that air pollution doesn't obey any boundaries. Let's make
Well, I think,
Ultimately,
the noise and the light pollution. So maybe this is a legislative matter that we
I
have
think,
to-
I think part of the problem of us never having an economic development group is it's kind of been piecemeal. We talk about jobs, you talk about climate, we do this.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the whole reason that we've gone into this study and the whole reason we're in these partnerships is to get together and talk more. You're right. I think we do need to have more, it'd be nice if we could go to Montgomery and have those conversations and say, hey, we know that we have no jurisdiction here, but how do you guys, and I think if we had an economic, or when we have, if whatever, an economic development group that will
Okay.
move a lot of those things along.
the intergovernmental cooperation provisions of Illinois law actually are quite expansive as far as what can be done. For example, technically, the county land resource plan is different than a typical comprehensive plan in that it's under the Local Land Resource Management Planning Act, which does permit intergovernmental agreements on planning from counties and including municipalities. It's a matter of really, when I was on the Regional Plan Commission for years, was a matter of selling the buy-in to the municipalities because they're giving up potentially, if they enter into planning agreements, they're giving some of their unilateral power away. But the reason why you have county-wide stormwater is essentially the giant floods that we had in, I think, the early 90s that were often the result of local municipalities making decisions that were maybe in their short-term economic interest, but there were enough examples of massive flooding, particularly in Salt Creek, DuPage. You may remember there were photographs that showed the Aurora area as one giant lake during some of the worst flooding.
96.
And usually that's the sort of thing that galvanizes the legislature into adopting more regional approaches.
Climate change is a little sneakier. You can't take a picture of climate change as a giant lake, although that might have been an
don't know.
effect of
I
climate.
think if you went on the internet and took pictures of
The
the forest,
fires and
the
the,
forest fires that are burning up half the planet right now, I think you would find.
Yeah.
Right.
Madam Chair Ford,
Yes, Mr. Ford.
yes, having a great conversation on the subject of, talking about, businesses being relocated. Actually, we're gonna have an open discussion on that, very short one, on our next, development committee, because that is a really issue that continues to go on. So it'd be great for the two committees to team up on this because it is an issue. And it's a tough sell because what it takes to get a business to relocate, you have to be able to have something to offer
Yes.
for them to want to relocate. One of the ones that I'm seeing like this really happening in Aurora is the junkyard at the corner of Illinois and Broadway, which if you go by there now is pretty much cleaned up way past 90%. So whenever that fence comes down, it's gonna give Aurora, at that intersection a great look. But it's a tough sell and it takes time and it takes a team to do it.
Yeah, it does. Are you having that discussion at the meeting next week?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Next Tuesday, right? Mr. Roth.
One thing kind of related to that, the resolution we voted down on Tuesday, 4612. That owner is back in front of the staff development meeting on Monday morning at 9 a.m. So he's coming back. Yeah. And, one of the comments I made after that meeting to David was, that's a company that needs to move somewhere else, but we'd like to retain them in Kane County, and we should start working with that company to get that to happen instead of still fighting where they want to stay.
well, he's got another location.
But that's not in Kane County, that's in Huntley. So that's McHenry.
Part of Huntley is.
Yeah, I was gonna say part of
Yeah.
Huntley
I don't
is,
know what part.
yeah, it depends on where.
Yeah. But that's an example where we need to work with these companies.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Madam Chair, again,
Did you mean Tuesday?
even with that, even though he has another property in Huntley,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that there's not a need for it to be close in the area where it's at,
Mhm.
based on where the trucks are coming from.
Right.
So that's why it takes a team to do a lot of research on what's the best location for a property,
Right.
Yeah,
Whenever you're talking about businesses and municipalities and housing and everybody all working together, you're always gonna have somebody that doesn't want it in their backyard.
Yep.
And it's hard for, I know for me personally, but sometimes to look at the big picture and go, what's the best for the whole county and what fits best in our long-term plans. You know, not just, I don't want it next to me, you know, and so there's definitely a weighing out of all of it and trying to find the best solution for everybody.
And a good example, that just look at the solar panels.
Mhm.
I meant to go back where I was at this weekend and go back and take a picture of the solar farm that was fenced in and had landscaping. But here's the thing, the fencing is what's not attractive. It's not the solar panel. It's just that there's certain things people just got to get used to.
Right.
Solar panel, there's nothing ugly about a solar panel. So there's no reflection of light or anything like that.
Right,
So,
right.
but the requirements that people want to put along with it is out of hand. And if they get too far, then you start running businesses away.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a balance.
Yes.
So, okay, wait. Miss Ellen, you've been very quiet.
I wanted to.
Can we
Um,
use our microphones, please?
Okay, sorry. Is that better?
Yes, thank you very much.
In our ether is this business about how we want to bring jobs and we want to encourage people to work here. But one of the problems is, can they afford to live near their jobs, or do they have to commute a whole long distance in order to get to these jobs? And we have scattered instances where the county has helped to provide some affordable housing. I'm going to say largely through the community development money and Director Berger's efforts. But we had a little side thing happen with the Forest Preserve, and I wanted to compliment Ms. Bates. There was a time when the Forest Preserve was very interested in having housing throughout the forest preserves before cell phones, because it added some extra security to the people who were using the preserves, and some security for when people should not be using the preserves. And we even built a bunch of modest homes throughout the Forest Preserve District in order to have our rangers housed there frequently near the entrance, so that there was a way to open and close the preserves every day and to have an extra eye on what was going on. Now, some of that has changed, but I appreciate the efforts to keep that housing intact. The Forest Preserve has the problem that it doesn't think of itself as a landlord. It doesn't think of itself as
Right.
caring for buildings and as managing the people who live in them and so on. But it's, even though it's a small thing, it's still an effort that makes a difference to the people who live and work here. So I think it's extra work and it's extra effort, and it's kind of outside the mission. But I think it's a very valuable thing for us to do. And it does provide a certain number of housings, a certain number of homes available that are affordable, and I think still helpful for security in our preserves. Every time we lose one, it's like, it's like losing a barn, you lose a home. But any that we can hold on to, I think it's worth doing.
Great, great.
Okay. If there's no other comments, then we need a motion to place the reports on file.
Bates moves and ask for consent.
Unanimous consent?
Unanimous consent.
Okay.
Put the place reports on file.
Objections? None seen. No need for executive session, no public comments. I did want to quickly say that the budget for these wonderfully probably underpaid individuals falls underneath the development group. So just as in like,
Okay.
yes. So we will be seeing that over there.
There should be an acknowledgement of the sustainable snacks that someone seems to have brought,
Yes, yes, yes.
and which I can attest are worth the effort to ingest.
And I will second that.
Okay, and I agree with that and thank you. On that note, I need a motion to adjourn.
Spade seconds.
All in favor?
Thank you, Madam Chairs. Madam Chairs.
And we have a